Welcome back to Rise and Shine. I am your host, Jared Iwi, here at Ability Connection Colorado. And we love who we get to talk to people who have innovated, people who have, well, in the case of today's guest and Heather Manoni, I don't know if it's someone who a decade ago saw herself where she is now, but I'm going to check with her. Did you foresee this, Heather, that you would be the executive director of Sammy's Buddy program?
No, I absolutely did not. I had been working in schools and bringing enrichment programming into schools. And a part of me knew that I wanted to expand my skill set to more schools than I was in. But the role that I have now as executive director and working with the disability community is not a place I saw myself 10 years ago. And I am thrilled to have learned what I've learned and taken my skills in a different direction that has allowed me to be here.
Well, I'm excited to find out the why. I want to know the why, but first, what is Sammy's Buddy program?
Sammy's Buddy program is a nonprofit. We're based here in Denver, Colorado. We have a chapter in Denver, and we also have a chapter in Salt Lake City, Utah. And what we do is we bring programs into schools, elementary, middle, and high schools, and we pair students with disabilities up with their non disabled peers. And we do activities throughout the year to encourage inclusion and understanding and to build community and connection between those students.
How did this begin? I mean, we have Sammy. How did you pronounce it? Is it Louis? The last name?
Sammy Lowy.
Lowy. Okay, so Sammy Michelle Lowy lived a very a remarkable and memorable 22 years, and this was her. This She made this happen.
Yes, so when Sammy was in fourth grade, she was the only student in a wheelchair in her school. And she felt as if no one saw anything but her wheelchair. And so she asked her mom if she could, how can we change this? What can we do so that people can see me? And she asked her mother, who was working for Special Olympics Colorado at the time, if they could bring in a Special Olympics day at her school. And so Sammy and her mother Pat helped organize this day to bring in students with disabilities into the school that really did not have that exposure. And it helped those students at that school understand a little bit about what students with disabilities would face in terms of challenges with academics or with athletic activities, things that Sammy was facing every day in her own school day, where she couldn't access the cafeteria, she couldn't access the art room because at that time her school did not have the accessibility that it does today. So Sammy took her idea of wanting herself to be seen and grew it in her school. And once a year they would do these activities with Special Olympics where they would bring in individuals with disabilities, and the students at her school would connect with these students. I'm sorry, connect with these other people to just learn more about disability. And that has continued to this day with this school. They don't partner with Special Olympics anymore, but they do continue a program where they learn about inclusion and understanding around disabilities. They learn about disabilities and advocacy. So that program that started over 25 years ago when Sammy was in fourth grade has continued to this day in that school. But when Sammy passed unexpectedly at 22, her mother really wanted to honor her legacy and honor her voice and her desire to be seen and heard by other people. And so she took that concept. And in addition to writing a book, Pat Lowy wrote a book called Shout, which showcased 90 individuals with disabilities and their artwork, their voices, their thoughts to just as a way to show their expression and their ability to be seen beyond their disability. But Pat wanted to take the concept that Sammy had promoted when she was in grade school and bring it to other schools. How can we show individuals with disabilities in schools, and can we connect those individuals with their peers who are non-disabled so that they have a better understanding and they get to know each other and they can overcome that awkwardness that often exists when we don't know how to interact with someone with difference. And so Pat started this program in 2016, and it was very small. She started with three schools, and really just encouraged activities between students with and without disabilities on a regular basis during the school day. And Pat ran the organization up until 2021 on her own with just minimal support. And then during COVID, as you know, things get weird. And after the veil of COVID was starting to lift, Pat realized she wanted the program to grow more and expand the opportunities for schools. And so she hired me as the executive director.
And congratulations to you because it
Thank you.
has expanded. Where are you? I guess statistic wise, or maybe if you can give some ideas as to how and where your Sammy's Buddy program is being utilized and
Yeah.
partnered.
So overall, between both our chapters, between Salt Lake City and Denver, Colorado, we have impacted over 60,000 students in 100 schools. And in Denver itself, we've been in 29 distinct schools over those past 10 years and impacted 10,500 students.
Is this what is this the vision? Do you
Oh,
feel it like you're on the path?
yeah, so we feel like we have this opportunity for growth. We have this opportunity to take what we've learned about what works with students, what works with teachers, because we have to honor the teachers' academic time and their ability to um, execute our programs during the school day. That's the other thing about Sammy's Buddy program is we try and build it into academic time. So it's not a before school club or an after school club or only a lunchtime club. We are working with teachers so that we can bring our initiative in during their social and emotional learning block or during a time that they have set aside so that they have more flex time. And so we bring our program in and we really feel like we have a great opportunity to replicate this model and go statewide. And we're working with some other partner organizations that are in education networks statewide so that we can grow and expand beyond the Denver metro region.
I feel like it's as simple as a name game because I know educators and administrators, they are looking for things like this. They just need to know where to go. And I feel like this conversation, this opportunity is that, right? I mean, this is your big job is to say, oh, hey, put me on speed dial because we know what to do for your school. We know how to do it. And we are very familiar as to why, like,
Yeah,
why
so
it's necessary.
we see the engagement in students. We see the increase in engagements between students both with disabilities and their peers. There are often times when we have a buddy group and a student who is in a general education classroom maybe not be the strongest academically or maybe has some other challenges within the academic setting. They often become the best buddies because they are given the opportunity to excel in an area that's it's purely social, it's fun, it's going outside the box of the academic day. And so we see the benefit not only for students with disabilities who get better understanding and an acknowledgement and they see seen, valued, and heard in the school, but also from their non-disabled peers who may have an opportunity to engage in a way that they don't get in an academic setting. So we see a benefit that impacts the school, the broader school community. We see it impacting student engagement within schools and comfort level, just being able to feel comfortable seeing your buddy in another setting in the school building. We have teachers that say their buddies come during lunch and sit with the students from the special education classrooms, or they'll seek them out on the playground to engage. So we start to see these patterns changing in school culture in terms of inclusion.
When
And that's,
you
go ahead.
when you want to see change, what is it you see that you recognize as that needs to change? And this question comes from in my mind, I'm thinking it's so wild that you have all these kids experiencing all the craziness of childhood together, yet somehow still separated by a cane or a chair or something that would help one live their day as well as possible. Like, are you seeing things like, okay, that's an easy fix? And I ask this, I guess, what can schools see? What are they doing right now to make it better that they could make better?
Well, there's so much focus on the social and emotional learning landscape, which is fabulous, and that's going to span all classrooms and all students. But what Sammy's Buddy program tries to do with teachers in special education is to figure out what the needs are for that particular classroom when we bring our activity in, and how can we adapt. We have a menu of activities that we offer to teachers. So you can pick and choose from these activities, but if you know that your class is mostly using sign language or they're nonverbal, then let's adapt our activities so that we bring in more sign language, or so that we bring in training about using an augmented assistive communication device, an AAC. And so we as an organization are not only just saying, hey, let's come in and bring fun games, we're also trying to work with the individual schools and the demographic within that school to say, how can we work specifically with your students so that we can grow our menu so it's more adaptable for more schools out there. But getting back to the social and emotional piece, there's the Board of Education in Colorado, to the best of my knowledge, encourages time blocks for social and emotional learning within the school day. And that could be, anti-bullying, it could be leadership skills, it could be a wide variety of things. And I think where our programs really fit into that is this model of inclusion and understanding around each other. And I mentioned earlier, we have this menu of activities that we offer to teachers and staff, but so they're suggested activities, but we require a couple of the activities on that menu. And one of the required activities, the first one of the year, is a get to know you activity. And so it allows students to, through games or would you rather, or just some activity where we do an emoji bingo, so that students can go around and check off a bingo card whether or not their buddy has a dog or a sister, whether like the Broncos or the Nuggets, So there's just a variety of ways, that simple ways that we initially get students together where they start to recognize similarities and overlook the differences.
And you go to Sammy's Buddy Program.org, and I'm kind of you know this, Heather. I'm just telling everybody. But I mean, you have activities listed out. You have, I mean, maybe someone doesn't even engage with you directly, but if they go to this site, is there a hope that from that simple digital visit, they come away with some ideas what they could incorporate in their own setting?
Yes, I think we do have an area for classroom resources. We, of course, would love to partner with people on our activities, and the things that we offer to schools are free. What we offer to districts are free. So this is a no cost program for any school that's interested in engaging. Um, and yes, there are some resources, there are ideas. Our website shows that we have 4 different initiatives. And I'd love to tell you a little bit about why we have multiple things that we offer for schools.
Yes. In part, is this in part too because I'm wondering what you want to leave the institution with instead of just, oh, this was a novel engagement for a Tuesday in March. Like, are these things that you want to say, okay, here's how you can move forward with the idea of Sammy's Buddy program?
Yes, the concept is that we partner with the school for 2 to 3 years, completely engaging on every activity and all the guidance. But the hope is that after a few years, our program and the system of getting buddies together and the other initiatives that we offer, the other resources, are so ingrained that regardless of whether a teacher leaves, who maybe was our lead teacher, or an administrator who was advocating for our programs, goes to another school, that inclusive dynamic, that inclusive characteristic of the school stays. And so the entire school body wants to continue this engagement and this inclusion. So it doesn't rest on just one teacher or administrator. That's the goal. And then, after a few years, we would love to let that school continue the program, and then we can engage more schools, right? So we can kind of keep rolling through new students and new schools and new districts.
No, that's a great answer. And I interrupted you. Were on a roll to talk about the 4 different programs, and I wanted to know about the longevity of it. And so now, but so talk about that those
Yeah.
specific
So
programs.
our main goal is to get students together to learn about disability and to overcome any perceived differences that they might have, so that an individual in a school feels more comfortable and confident being in their school, and they feel like they belong. School connectedness is such a huge part of the social and emotional learning piece overall. And just, in general, we all want to feel connected to someone else. I had an initial conversation with you, Jared, and after our initial conversation, I felt like I already had a connection and I feel
Oh, yeah.
comfortable. So that's what we're hoping for all of our students who participate. Um, Oftentimes, though, we've found that the number of students in a special education classroom or a general education classroom in a school, we're not reaching 450 students in a given school. We may be reaching 70 or 35 or 10, depending on how many students and the time that the teachers have. So a couple years ago, we thought about, well, how can we engage more students even if they're not designated in a special education classroom, or even if the teachers aren't able to get the buddies together on a regular basis. Or in one case, we had a school that had a special education center classroom, and we partnered with them for a few years. And then the students were dispersed to other schools. But the teachers loved our program so much, they wanted to continue that concept, even though there weren't buddy activities. So, with that in mind, we developed three additional initiatives that we offer to schools. And one of them is what we call our inclusion library. And this is a set of 32 books. There are various reading levels, and each of the books features a protagonist or principal character, and oftentimes the author has a disability. So, in this literature that we donate to school and classroom libraries, there's representation around disability. Often there is you'll see different features in book clubs or book corners or something like that, but there's not often featured protagonists with disabilities
Yeah,
in
so you're
representation.
showing up with swag. You have
Yeah,
books. So
yeah, we
that's
have
great.
books.
I
We have
mean, that
we
that's
have books for every
fantastic.
classroom. We have books for
Yeah.
the school libraries, and with that, we have reading discussion guides, and we offer book clubs, and we encourage read alouds in the school. In within the literacy prompts, and we also have a fourth grade core aligned curriculum set of standards to go with one of our books that we donate. So we have a wealth of resources that can reach a lot more students within the school, other than our buddy activities. So our inclusion library has been very successful. We feel like it is both an active and passive way to get the message across and to normalize different disabilities within the community. So that's been a great success, and teachers love it, librarians love it. Um, and we really hope that more schools will join us, even if it's just for the inclusion library set.
Well, no, I think
Um,
that's a great idea because teachers are like, okay, great, bring me this concept, but give me the tools, help me, give me some guidance on this because I've got 30 kids all from disparate backgrounds that,
yeah,
require my attention. So make it clear and concise and convenient.
yeah. So that's what we offer. The books could literally be on a shelf in a classroom, and students just grab them for independent reading time. Or a teacher can take that, as I said, as far in depth as including it in a literacy prompt during their school year that goes along with core standards. So we have all the different resources for that. And then the two other initiatives that we offer a leadership lesson, and this is to encourage students. Typically, there are students in the general education classrooms to think about disability and disability advocacy and what it is within their school and their community, where their peers may not have the same access, where their peers may not have the same opportunities. And think about that from a leadership lens. If you were a student in a school that didn't, at the time, hopefully all schools have this now, but some sort of accessible play structure, or curb cuts or whatever it may be, having students think about, oh, do you see how that elevator is in that funny corner in the building? Well, 25 years ago, that elevator didn't exist. So think about these access points for your peers and how things have changed and where things may need to still be improved in your school. And we had one of our principals mention that after Sammy's buddy program was at the school for a few years, a group of students, this was in an elementary school, a group of students asked for a standing meeting on this principal's calendar so that they could discuss what was going on with their buddies and whether or not they could improve certain things in the school to make this a more welcoming environment for their school. So these are the types of leadership we want them to hear themselves as leaders. We want them to understand that as a young person, you can advocate for yourself and others if you see a need. So the leadership, not only about disability, but just also in general, we want students to feel like they have the ability to make change and affect change in their environment. So that's an ongoing theme throughout the year.
You may have just said this and I missed it, but when you partner with schools, does there become a student run organization that continues with that partnership? Like, can kids within that school join a club or an organization that helps create and maintain the bond with Sammy's Buddy program?
We haven't had that structure in place in the past, but I love the idea.
No,
You know,
I do
yeah,
too. And I'm not just, congratulating myself. I thought, oh, that would be kind of neat, give kids an opportunity to, I mean, and, they want to expand on their resume. They want to do things that for
yeah.
college and beyond, that might be a cool
Well,
opportunity.
and I think that that is an area where our high school students are fine. So we, again, we're in elementary, middle, and high schools, but I think our high school students are finding that sometimes they need to check a box that shows that they've done X, Y, or Z within their school, their high school
Hmm.
career, right?
Yeah.
And so they often will join one of our activities to check that box and keep coming and keep coming and keep coming because they find that it's rewarding for them and it's interesting and it's just a great group of people to be around. So we really do have that kind of dynamic where sometimes people come because they think they're doing one thing, but then they end up staying because it's really fulfilling for them.
One reason I ask is for years I emceed the Cherry Creek Diversity Conference, which I think is now Youth Celebrate Diversity, but massive event every January. 1,000 kids show up to Cherry Creek High School, but they have students there that help the organization, the nonprofit, run this event and get it to other schools and
Mhm.
maintain its popularity, and then just make it more relatable for the kids because I have much less riz than my teens, as they may have explained to me in so many words. So okay, so coming up, we're gonna go Heather Mononi's soul spelunking. We're gonna find out exactly why she's doing this. I want to also find out a specific thing you've seen that moved you, but I also want to know, you're in Utah, you're in Colorado. What does expansion look like? Is that and I know this isn't a massive staff, and I know you're like all the nonprofits out there. You're doing what you can, but as far as expanding, how right now would you want to invite other schools or other states?
So one of our goals this upcoming year is to create what we're calling an academic portfolio. And what we'd like to do is take all of our four initiatives, the fourth one, which I haven't had a chance to explain yet, but
All right.
take
Well,
all of the four initiatives,
that's coming up as well. Me giving her an
yes,
opportunity to explain the fourth one. Okay. Yes.
um, and create a package that we can distribute to other networks, charter networks, or distribute to districts throughout the state. Work, as I said earlier, work with these partner organizations that are already doing um, a variety of things, education initiatives throughout the state of Colorado. So partner with them to get in with the schools that they're working at and show them our portfolio of opportunities, our portfolio of these four initiatives. So we can have something in the can, basically, that we can hand off to districts and other schools. Again, maybe for the first year, we're there guiding, we're doing online training, teacher training, but bringing this opportunity statewide and beyond. So we've got, as you said, in Salt Lake City, they're very successful. They have a very large network. In Denver, we're working with Jeffco schools, we're working with DPS schools. We would love to expand that. But as you know, with a small staff, we have to have a way to expand that that is sustainable. So our growth is going to look at having a product, for lack of a better word, that we can hand off to other districts and other charter networks that explains our initiatives, that teaches them about them, that gives them the resources that we provide when we're in the schools.
I love that you said, for lack of a better word, because we all know it's bigger than a product. I mean, and I think that adds to Heather Mononi's cred right there, that you have the cognizance to know, there's something there that maybe can't even be described, but it exists at Sammy's Buddy Program.org. And now, before we go Heather Mononi soul spelunking, and before the specific example that moved her, we must let her talk about the fourth facet. And I'm blaming you because you're getting my brain all giddy and synapses are firing off everywhere, and I'm on the verge of being an annoying mansplainer. So I apologize. I'm just inspired. Okay, number four. Sorry.
Yeah. So, buddy activities, our inclusion library set, our leadership lessons, and the fourth is our kindness campaigns. So we encourage, especially during the month of February, perhaps in lieu of Valentine's Day celebrations with candy hearts and love grams, we encourage entire grades, entire schools to host a kindness campaign. And this is something that students begin the campaign with a pledge, and they pledge to be kind first to themselves, then to their environment, and to others. Okay, so this pledge is about kindness. They learn about, wait, I can't be kind to someone else if I'm not kind to myself first. And we talk about the kindness effect and how if you send it out there that it'll often come back. So we do different activities throughout the month with students. We have class school-wide, grade level competitions. Students catch each other in acts of kindness and then use nomination forms to put in, big jars that are displayed throughout the school. We had one school that created a kindometer, like a thermometer meter,
Yeah, that's
or
great.
a thermometer, a thermo. Now I'm gonna not gonna be able to say that word.
No, I know
Thermometer.
I love thermometer, but we know what we're talking about. A thermometer of kindness. Yes.
Right. And they would fill that with the kindness nomination forms and watch it fill up throughout the month. And it's just a great visual display of catching others in acts and kindness. And we adapt it again towards the student body. The younger students just have to circle an act of kindness where the older students write out what they saw. And then we announce them on the loudspeaker on every Friday, and some classrooms compete to see who can have the most kindness, throughout the month. So it's really a way to engage beyond looking at the lens of disability and just thinking about kindness in general in a school. So again, a way for us to reach more students, to be more visible in the school, even if it's not directly related to, oh, we're going to talk about disability today.
No, that is brilliant. I mean, because that's the thing, it seems to me in watching my kids and in working in schools, that's the thing that catches on that makes it's a bridge to this bigger project,
Yeah.
it seems. And that's
All right. Now you can dig. Now you can dig in.
yes. All right. Heather Mononi, soul splunking. Well, the first thing I wanted to know, and I know you've been there, it's a busy job. I'm sure you're a not so highly paid executive in the nonprofit world, and so you must subsist on moments. And I'm just wondering what. Tell me a moment where you're like, "Girl, you're doing the right thing."
You know, I think one of my favorite moments is a student in one of our middle school programs, and we've been at this school. This will be our third year at this school, starting in the fall, and it's a middle school. So I see this. I've seen the sixth grade students go to seventh grade, seventh to eighth, and this student. He's just been a rock star with the program. He's very engaging. He has a disability or multiple disabilities, and he really helps bridge that gap between the students that come in from the general education classrooms that come in on a weekly basis to do activities. And he's kind of a rock star within his peers. And he was gone for a little while, out of the classroom, out of the building for a few weeks. And he came back after being gone for a few weeks, and he said to me when I came in, he said, I really missed Sammy's buddy program. I really missed being around my buddies. And he said, this is my favorite day of the week in school. And I think that's what really impacts me is these students, one, they're willing to share that with me. They take this emotional leap to share something that means something to them. And to know that this student, when he was away from it, really thought back on it
Hmm.
and told me how much he really enjoyed being with his buddies. And then, just the joy, the hugs I get, the impact I see, the laughter, or the connection when a student who has been learning a few basic sign language signs goes into a classroom and says hello to her buddy, right off the bat using sign. I mean, and that buddy who doesn't have that experience with the other 400 students in the school, those connections are just there's so many of them, Jared. I'm not sure that I can really pinpoint. There really are, and that it
Yeah.
brings me joy. I will say that the small organization is bring brought me so much joy personally And I see so much joy with the students, but also the teachers are very engaged. They have said to me, thank you for bringing this program in. This is what I want in teaching. And that's a direct quote. This is what I want in teaching, right? So we're giving teachers the opportunity to feel a little more joy in their classroom as well. And feel supported, feel like we're providing some resources that allow them to expand and enrich their classroom.
Well, and I know, as I mentioned earlier, that this isn't something and this is what I gleaned from our phone conversation a couple weeks ago, but this isn't something you saw yourself doing. And so why, Heather Mononi? Why are you doing this? And what every day is getting you up and saying, yeah, this is it?
Well, I'm given, I get a lot of freedom in terms of developing within the parameters of the four initiatives. I'm really given a lot of freedom and license to work with the teachers and adapt things. And I think that's what's so exciting about this is there's no day that's the same as the next day. Every day is a little different. And I like using my skill set for a variety of things. I like putting on a fundraising hat one day and putting on a research hat the next to figure out what we're going to talk about in terms of the 36th anniversary of the ADA, right? There's so many different ways that I get engaged and encouraged every day on this job. And I think that's what inspires me is I'm not locked into one particular role. And Pat, the founder, and the board of directors and the teachers that I work with are also appreciative. And we're a really grateful group of people. We have this opportunity to bring joy and connection to students. So why wouldn't I want to do that every day?
Well said. What have schools said to you? If there was a quote they would put on their website, how would you paraphrase what they say to
I
you?
think Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. We have a great video on our website also that we made this year, kind of a promotional hype video, and I didn't prompt the principal at all, and he said these words out loud, and it was the first time I had heard him say it. But he said, if any school has the opportunity to engage with Sammy's buddy program and they don't do it, they'd be remiss. Or some
Yeah,
version of that.
that's
And I
great.
was like, wow, I could not ask for someone to say anything better for us.
Yeah, just a new tattoo on your bicep
Yeah.
there. That incredibly concise quote. And there's something. There's many things that are common with Sammy's Buddy program and Ability Connection Colorado. Of course, one first and foremost, inclusivity and promoting diversity and conversation and then there is we have programs built by parents, and this is a program built by a family and a mom, and that there's something there I think that people recognize, and it draws them because they see that this life, these moments turned into this organization, that they saw so many opportunities to make the world, for lack of a better cliche, a better place, and they acted on it. And I think people are really attracted to that inspirational story. And I see that with Sammy's buddy program. How is that reflected in your daily work?
Yeah, I think that, we all know that teachers are overwhelmed with the amount of requirements on their plate. And for us to be able to bring in something that supports a variety of students in special education classrooms, center classrooms, or the general education students, I think just bringing in supports for teachers and for schools is kind of a community thing, right? It takes a village, and this is allowing us this this amazing initiative that we have to build this community and connection between students. Teachers don't have to think hard about it. It's like, we're going to bring this in, we're going to do this with you and get to know your students. Let's do this. Let's bring this joy in. And I think that's where it's kind of this grassroots organization meeting the education system. And that's where the magic happens.
Well, Heather Mononi, Executive Director of Sammy's Buddy Program, is sammysbuddyprogram.org. That's Sammy with a Y, and really a wonderful website that lays it out quite clearly what you do with your partners and the four programs that I didn't mean to torture you in trying to get through that, but
That's good.
you're inspiring. You are inspiring, and you inspire a lot of ideas and questions. But I'm so glad you reached out to talk to us. This is great.
Yes. Thank you, Jared. I really appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation with you and share what we're doing. And hopefully we'll hear from more people and we'll make some more community connections.